Hey everybody, this is the hero from the Council of Graduate Schools. Thanks for participating in the quarterly survey administrators meeting for our Career Pathways project. I see that a lot of you registered. And so from our end, we are going to unmute you. Since this is a meeting, I would like you to be able to verbally participate in a discussion. So as we unmute your system, if you could in turn mute your microphone. So how the logistics for the system works is that there's a raise your hand feature. So whenever you'd like to ask a question or make a comment, if you could raise your hand feature to let us know that you'd like to speak, then and as we see your hand being up, we are going to recognize you verbally. Then you unmute yourself and participate. If you do not have microphone capacity, you can also type a question or comment by using the question feature of this system. But it might take a little bit longer for us to react to the written question part of it. So we'll be recording this, and recording and the slides will be emailed to all project survey administrators as well as the study sites project directors and the co-project directors as well. So you will get slides and what we talked about and a few other materials that will be mentioned during today's call. But again, this is meant as a meeting, so feel free to chime in and share your insights about survey portion of the Career Pathways project, which is a very significant part of our effort. If you have difficulty with the audio, you could switch from computer to telephone or the vice versa. And if you click the problem dialing in, that should give you the alternate phone number to dial in as well. Okay. So just the so this is the hero, and others at the project team couldn't join us today, but Catherine from the communications team is with us today as well. And again, this project is supported by Andrew Mellon Foundation and the National Science Foundation. Yeah. To unmute yourself, to make it easier, like we unmute everybody from our, you could mute your microphone. So today we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 items that we want to cover. Well, really 4 from our end. One is the status of the fall 2017 alumni survey. Then we'll talk about the fall 2017 alumni survey data submission process. And then we'll talk about the preparation for the spring 2018 student survey. And we'll have a few project-related updates from our end. And we'll open up for any other comments that you might have in the end. So first, I just wanted to check in with all of you about fall 2017 alumni survey. I'm guessing that most of you have already fielded the survey or fielding the survey as we speak, or pretty close to sending out. Anybody have significant update about where you are with doing the alumni survey for this round?
I just wanted to pass along that we've done pre-tracking on all of our alumni and trying to, update and find the most recent information for address information. And we are struggling with international students that have no longer are living in the United States.
Yeah.
And I'm just wondering if anyone is having a similar problem finding international students that no longer live in the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
and if they've found anything that helps to find them.
Okay. Daniel?
I had a comment on a different issue. I was just going to give a status update. So if you want to continue with this one, we should probably wait for mine.
And Ambika?
Yes, so we've launched the survey and we are getting participation. We have some questions coming in also. So we are underway at Wayne State.
Okay. Great. Nasreen?
Same applied to us, Binghamton. We have already launched the survey and sent one reminder. Response rate is not that great as we expected, but it's going along, and we also are getting a couple of questions. So.
Okay. So, let's talk about a few specific, lessons or, other issues that might have arisen. So, thinking about how it's still underway, so I'd put it like a reflection of the survey process thus far, but, what are some of the things that went well in terms of launching this survey, and what are the things that did not go well, and what are some of the ongoing worries around this fall 2017 alumni survey? And I just realized that I've been calling your first name, but if you could, when I recognize, if you could say your name and institution as well, that might be helpful for others on the line. Carol?
At Morgan State. And we're getting back some surveys that we thought were good addresses. What have people done when they get back the surveys because the email that we thought was good is not good?
Like your email bounced back?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Let's see if there anybody have addressed that particular issue of the dealing with the email bounce backs?
This is Nazreen from Binghamton University. We had the similar challenge too. Our biggest challenge was getting the email, collecting the most updated email, because we have one email in our banner system. Then we also have alumni office have some kind of updated email, but then we also went further. We have one GA who was looking into LinkedIn and tried to find out the most updated information or email addresses that we could use. So we combined all three. So we had our student system email addresses, then alumni office email addresses, and then we also could whatever we could collect from outside sources, like networking sources like LinkedIn, and then we merged them, and we use that email, but we still have a few bunched emails, as well as I'm guessing that some of them are not opening the email, so that is usually the biggest challenge when we do alumni survey. I mean, we have done alumni survey before, like 5 years out, and this goes back to 10 years. So it's a lot more challenging than the one that we did before.
And Nasreen, what kind of the email open rate are you looking at?
Well, we sometimes get, we ask when you open or go to Qualtrics, and sometimes you say that, okay, there is some numbers in there that could tell that, okay, looks like it's not accurate number, but, this emails have not been touched or something, that's many or percentage or something. I think we got feedback from our Qualtrics people last time we did this alumni survey. Mm-hmm. So I'm guessing that's happening here too. So.
Okay. Daniel?
Yeah, so I wanted to say there's a couple things that we noticed when we launched the survey. We launched it last Friday. Mm-hmm. The first thing that we noticed is some of the items in the Qualtrics program version, particularly like the ones that dealt with race ethnicity, it wasn't always clear because it said select more than one, and it wasn't totally clear that's how to do that. And we noticed this when we were testing it before that. So we had to add a little, compress control click so that you could select more than one because it wasn't that wasn't totally clear. We have about, so we launched last Friday, we have about a 15% response rate, 11% completion rate so far, and we also have been getting email feedback from participants. So we're wondering, A, do you guys want to keep track of some of the emails that students are sending? Because some of them are kind of helpful. Like one student told us that, one alumni, I should say, told us that he felt as though the survey is kind of not applicable to him because he started his PhD in his 40s and he had a very long career ahead of time. And so he doesn't feel like this survey and these questions were really applicable to someone in his situation.
Yeah, that might be interesting, for all of us to know. And I guess that, as long as to the extent that you are allowed to share the information, since your institution, your office is the one received the email communication from respondents. But yeah, some of those feedback may be helpful.
Okay, I'll have to check because I actually don't know if we're allowed to share any of that stuff.
Yeah. Let's see. Patricia?
Yes, we're at the University of Arkansas, and I want to go back to the issue of bounce backs.
Yeah.
We sent out a letter before the survey saying that the survey would be coming and to watch for it. And when we got bounce backs from that, we were able to go in and find the email. So it cut down on the bounce back rate from the actual survey. We only had 2 that came back. And on things that keep us up at night. So, things went really well with the launch of the survey so far. What we're worried about is what we've always been worried about, and that's our response rate. We're just worried about whether we'll get enough people responding to that.
Okay. Thanks. Phil?
Yeah, this is Phil from the University of Virginia. So I'm going to give just a general report on how things are going for us. And then I do have a few specific questions, some for the group as a whole and one for you, Hiro. So our launch is going pretty well. So we're pretty deep into it. We launched a few weeks ago and have now sent out a couple reminders. We also sent a preview email letting the alumni know that it was coming and what the purpose of the survey was and so forth. So as of right now, we have about a 35% response rate on the surveys that we have sent out. And some part of that is owed to, I think, the fact that we do have a person who is, we have a GRA working with us on the project who is going through our bounced emails and looking for updated email addresses, and then we're sending the survey out to whatever updates that we have. We determined that we're actually just going to go through all of the email addresses that we have because we think that a good many of them are out of date. One of the interesting things that we are finding in our ability to update those emails is probably something important to consider, and that is that we have found that the emails that are easiest to update are from folks who by and large are within academic careers. So, if you have people who are working in industry or who are working in the corporate world, oftentimes their emails are not readily accessible, their email addresses rather. Whereas if you have alums who are working at universities, then those are pretty accessible and easy to find. And so of the people who are able to find updated information for, the vast majority are within academic careers. And so one of the things that's keeping me up at night is whether, that's really going to skew our results. Mitigating against that, however, is the other sort of cultural practice for people not in academia to put their information up on LinkedIn. And so as we are going through these, we are also recording for people who we cannot find an updated email address for, do or do they not have a LinkedIn profile. Generally, those people who fall into that category, again, are within sort of non-academic careers, which is interesting. And so then we're left with a bit of a decision to make on how we can reach out to the folks who are on LinkedIn, but for whom we do not have an updated email address. I wanted to get people's feedback on that, because you can't email someone through LinkedIn. You have to send them a connection request. And so we are considering, me personally sending connection requests to these many alumni to urge them to do the survey. So that's one question. Another specific question is, what is, given that we are altering our strategies a little bit in the hopes of maximizing our return, is there a technical end from your end, from the point of view of CGS, in terms of when this fall survey, alumni survey, needs to be closed? I know that there's a deadline for when we need to provide data, but is there an end of the survey period technically from CGS?
So, for about the LinkedIn question, I'll let folks chime in, and again, that can raise your hand. But as far as the question around the when your survey should close, so only hard solid deadline we have for our purpose at the moment is this March 1st deadline for you to share the data with us.
Okay.
Outside of that, again, I think it really depends on the volume of data that you're anticipating and how much time you anticipate for data cleaning and preparation of data submission to CGS.
Mm-hmm.
So I think in the last month I sent a timeline that the Arkansas put together, and that built in some time for the data cleaning. So
okay, great.
Yeah, that may be one approach, but beyond that we don't have a date.
Okay, so just one last bit of feedback that has been shared a couple times from alums, and then I'll be done, I promise. We have been told by a couple of our alums that they actually wanted less limitation on the number of jobs that they could put into the survey. They actually wanted to go back further in time, and especially within that cohort that's 15 years out. Mm-hmm. Some of them were eager to share their long employment history with us, and felt that sort of looking at the more recent jobs that they were in wasn't going to give us all the information that might be useful to us. So that was just a piece of feedback that we've gotten on a few occasions now that I thought I would pass on. Thanks.
Yeah, great, Phil. Andrew, I know you wrote in your feedback about the LinkedIn, but would you like to?
Tongchai. Yeah, this is the Tongchai from UC, University of California, Office of the President. Daniel actually has just provided an update on our administration, but I have a question about, because we administer a survey for all 10 University of California campuses. So on some campuses, they have a good email addresses for most alumni, but on some campuses, they only have about 50% of the alumni have a valid email address. So I'm wondering, other institutions, generally, what is the percent of alumni you have a valid email address for?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. The percentage of valid email addresses, you
yes.
had on your record, or you found it through LinkedIn or other sources. If anyone would like to chime in, that's helpful information. Jennifer Casson?
Yes, this is Jennifer from Arizona State University, and I just wanted to share and answer the question regarding LinkedIn. Thank you for asking a question about when the survey should close, because we want to continue collecting some of this data. But you are correct in regards to when you are trying to get an email address from LinkedIn, you do need to request a connection to that individual. And I have, on a Saturday morning, sent out an invitation on behalf of Arizona State University to request connection, and I kept it vague and said that we're excited to share an opportunity with you. Please connect so we can provide you with additional information. I want to say within maybe an hour, I had 9 connections. I don't have the data in front of me right now to know how many of them actually completed the survey. What I ended up doing is once they connected with me, I captured their email address, and then we sent the survey to them. So it does work, but it is time consuming.
Yeah, thanks for that feedback. That's really helpful. So we might do an experiment on a different strategy, although that's a good strategy, and we might employ that too. I crafted you get 300 characters in your connection request, and so I crafted a very careful connection request to people where I was actually going to try to put in, and I have not done this yet because I actually want to confirm with our IRB that this would be acceptable. But in that connection request, to see if that would work, and we're going to try that experiment, I think, with a small group of 10 to 20 people and see how it goes. But if that doesn't go well, then thank you very much for sharing that strategy, because that might be something that we look into as well.
Great. Yeah, I think Liz from University of Delaware had they used a similar message in a pre-survey message as well, and for those that that gave us insights via question feature, I'll try to incorporate some of that when I send a summary email to the group. But Wendy had a hand a while ago. Wendy?
Yes, I wanted to say that when you're not friends with somebody else on LinkedIn, that you do have the 154 characters that you can send them a quick sort of message. And what we did was to send them a quick sort of message and then link them to the survey invite. And the survey invite has a link to the survey. So that's a faster way rather than waiting for them to friend you.
Interesting.
So that's also possible.
That's exactly what I'm suggesting that we're going to try. Has that strategy worked for you?
That has worked for us, but we did some of the things other people did in terms of, we had the email that they had when they left the university, which was still the university email. Then we had a graduate student update from all different sources. Their current email, we had 130 students we were trying to reach. We had 15 bounce backs, and then from that bounce back, we put in that 154 characters in LinkedIn and said, hey, the graduate school wants to connect with you, or here's a chance to enter our raffle and whatever, and then sent them the invitation to participate. So we only had 15 that we actually had no idea how to get in touch with them, and that's the tactic that we used for those 15.
Great. Thanks for your feedback.
Sure.
Maureen? Comments? No. Patricia?
Maureen from Notre Dame.
Hi.
Yes. We're getting ready to launch a survey where we're compiling a list of only good email addresses that we've been able to compile based on sending out an intro email first. So our initial push with the survey is only going to go to email addresses that we know have been opened and are live. And at this point now we've gone to LinkedIn for some of the ones that we're trying to follow up on.
Maureen, could you tell us, what percentage of the graduates you have good email addresses?
Yeah, we have 51%.
Thanks. Patricia?
That actually opened that we know are live email addresses at this time.
This is University of Arkansas on the question of the percentage of good email addresses. We have 91%.
Yeah, that's great. What's the secret?
Well, we had a graduate assistant working on it all summer,
Oh,
and she's been really good at tracking down LinkedIn, talking to departments because a lot of them are in touch with their alums. All of the ways that you've already mentioned. Ruth, do you have anything other than those?
One thing I might want to add, I've been in touch with a couple of departments, and since they are in touch with the some of our alumni, they are the ones who send the LinkedIn message to ask for their email because they're familiar with the individual alumni. And then they just pass the email from us. Because if I try to reach out to some alumni on LinkedIn, I'm a stranger to all of them, and they just don't accept my invitation to connect, or they just don't reply my message. But if we delegate someone from individual departments who might be more familiar with them, it's way likelier for them to respond.
great. Wendy, you have your hand back up again?
No, I didn't have my hand back up, but yes, we also went through the departments as well. We did the departments, we did the graduate school, we had a 3-pronged attack, so I thought that was a good feedback.
Okay, great.
Thanks. Oh, I'm from UMBC, by the way, University of Maryland, Baltimore County. Thanks.
All right, so these are really helpful feedback and some of the strategy. And this is, I think, in part of being answered, especially what each studies, each of you might do to improve the process, particularly like tracking the email addresses. But what are the things that we, the CGS, can do to help improve the process for fall 2018 alumni survey? This is really the chance for you to dish out all the grievances, I guess.
Hi, this is Heather Brandt at the University of South Carolina, and one of the requests we would have for next fall, in addition to some of the comments that have been shared so far, is that we may be able to enhance some of the depth of some of the information that's collected. We've received preliminary feedback during the pilot testing about the relevance of some of the questions and ways in which we may be able to expand options or add in additional questions. And so I look forward to ongoing conversations with others about how we may be able to do that best.
Great. Wendy?
Oh yeah, I just want to say that I did add one thing to the survey because there's a link to CGS on the survey, but it takes people away from the survey. So I created, I use the HTML code to make it open in a different window. And I think in your fall version, you should do that so that you don't take people away from the survey,
Yeah.
Just make that change.
That totally makes sense. Tansha?
Yeah, again, you see University of California Office of the President, probably CGS has a plan to run analysis or release some information from this year's survey. I think if you could have some preliminary report or information available online or somewhere, so probably next time in 2018, when we administer the survey again, we might provide some kind of reference to say, hey, based on last year's survey, this is the preliminary result. That will help alumni to respond to survey. Then they know we are using data for improvement of some other purposes.
Yeah, no, that makes sense, and that's one of our plans to certainly share the results with participating institutions, both RDs and the affiliates. And in our next one or next one of these quarterly meeting or one after, once your end of data collection and once you have some idea of how your institution might use the data, we'll be definitely asking your feedback and what sort of national level, the aggregated data analysis you want to see, and you will find it helpful. So we'll be asking that feedback as well. Let's see. So Nancy had a question about the student survey file, and that's coming up in 3 slides or so. Any other things that we can do to help improve this alumni survey process?
But I think that we use I think that to improve the process, we use 3 types of email notification, but I think that we should have a unified email that all universities use rather than people each having to come up with their own.
Mm-hmm.
So in the past, when we've done surveys with CGS, they gave us the wording for the pre-notification, the notification, the thank you, the reminder, all of that stuff. I think that would be helpful going forward.
Could you actually send me your 3 level of emails?
Sure. Who's me? Is this Hero?
Yeah, that's a Hero. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Will do.
And is it okay if we kind of think about the sample or even verbatim send out to this whole group?
Oh yeah, I think that'd be great.
Okay, great. Thanks.
All right.
Okay. If there are no other, and of course, if you think of other things that we can do to help improve the process, email us as well. Okay, so in terms of the data submission process, this seems like still far from now, but the due date is March 1st, and here's how we would like to receive the data. We'd like you to mail the data in a password-protected medium, in a flash drive or a DVD, any medium that can have some sort of password protection, and then mail to Council of Graduate Schools, mail, UPS, FedEx, whichever your preferred mode of delivery. And once we receive it, or once I receive it, I will email you back and confirm the receipt of your data. And when I do that, I'd like you to send an email with the password. So if you ever work with the National Center for Education Statistics process of getting the restricted use data, that sort of mirrors that sort of delivery process. We get the password protected disk, and then we let them know and they get the password. So that's the process we would like to take. And in terms of how your file should look like, again, we are asking you to send individual level survey responses, and we would like you to have the data cleaned and recoded in accordance with the code book. And when we send out this recording from this meeting and the slides, we'll attach the code book as well. And the data should be in the CSV or Excel file, with the top row being the variable labels, and include all the responses except the responses for item 50 and item 51, which are the question asking permission to get their student ID numbers and their student ID numbers themselves. Those are 2 data points that we do not want. And if your institution added any questions, you do not need to share that data. And the code book only includes the data point included in the CGS version of survey instrument. Are there any questions about this process of sending us the data? Yeah, the data for this. Yeah, we'll be sending the reminder again and again and again. And yeah, at some point you'll probably get tired of seeing my name. Okay. So, okay. And so I'll move on to the preparation for the spring 2018 student survey. So this survey will go out to the current PhD students who began their studies between the during the 13-14 academic year and the 16-17 academic year. And I'll be sending again that when the recording from this meeting and the slides go out to you, I'll send the Qualtrics file as well as the Word version of the student survey. And since this one does not need to go out until spring, so we have a little bit of time for us to collectively review and comment. Again, we cannot change the survey in very substantive ways since we are following the recommendation from came from the earlier advisory board for this project. But if you have any suggested revisions for us to consider, please share the suggestions on or before Friday, December 15th. And based on those feedback and some of the suggested changes we receive, we will make updates to the file, and the updated version of the Qualtrics file as well as the Word file will be shared with this group on or around the Monday, January 15th of 2018. Okay. Next. And the other format, the same as the alumni survey. Once you create the survey, please include our CGS project logo, and in your informed consent, make sure that the respondents know that the data will be shared and used by the CGS project team for our research purposes as well. And for spring 2018 student survey, our earlier instructions say July 1st. About the July 1st as the deadline, the due date for your data to CGS, but that apparently is Saturday. And then Monday is July 3rd, which is the day before Independence Day. So I figure the deadline is now Friday, July 6th too. So I did a one whole week. So you are very welcome. Nasreen?
I have a quick clarification. Yeah. You mentioned that the current student survey would be students who started in fall 2013 and 2014. Mm-hmm. So nobody else, just these two cohorts. What if a student who started in 13 already graduated in 17 or before the survey is launched? Do we exclude them or keep them?
This is meant for the current students. So yes. If students are no longer enrolled.
Okay, so yeah. Students who started in 13 or 14 and currently enrolled.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Mm-hmm. And as is the case for alumni survey, if your institutions choose to include additional cohorts, that is up to you. But again, for the purpose of sharing the data with the CGS, those are the two time points that we are looking to.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Any other questions about the spring survey? Okay, great.
I have one question.
Yeah.
Here, are you there? So I'm looking at this Friday, July 6th. Mm-hmm. So what if our institution decides that they're going to, not be open for the Thursday and the Friday because the holiday is the Wednesday?
I'm sure we can work with that. We can work something out.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you just want me to send you a message if they decide to do that?
Yeah, at the individual basis, if the deadline becomes the programmatic, yeah, always let us know. I mean, this is not meant to penalize anybody. So,
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Heather?
Hi, I just wanted to double check on when the spring survey for students will be available. I'm sorry if I missed that.
So when when the meeting recording and this meeting slides are going to go out to you, I'll be attaching the latest version of the student survey file, and then if you have any suggested revision, let us know on or before Friday, December 15th, and
Okay, thank
we
you.
will share the updated version based on the comments and the feedback we received on or around the Monday, January 15th.
Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Tangshan?
Yeah, again, I'm from UC Office of the President, and I want to make sure and confirm with you, because we added a few questions we are interested in to learning survey, and we may add additional questions to student survey next year. So we don't need, we just add questions to the end of CGS survey. So we don't need to come back to check with you again, right?
Yeah, as far as the adding the questions, as long as it does not significantly expand our survey to the extent that we get concerned about the response rate, you're free to add questions.
Okay, thank you.
And for the student survey, it is going to be only for the currently enrolled students, and those who graduate or those who are not currently enrolled for reasons just because they earn the degree or for other reasons, they do not need to be included. And as far as the data submission goes, due date, the postmark, yeah, postmark sounds good. Nasreen?
We also do an exit survey for the graduating students, like students who are graduating in that particular semester, like during the spring. So we get the population and the sample size from this system who applied for candidacy for graduation. And I really don't want to survey twice the same student. Okay, if I exclude those students who applied for graduation or graduating that semester in spring, or do we have to include everybody?
That's an interesting question that I did not anticipate, but it seemed to make sense to exclude because we certainly don't want to interfere with your other survey efforts. But let me put a few more, some more thoughts and consult with others here.
Okay.
Wendy?
I agree with the person who was just speaking, because the students will also have the survey of earned doctorates. They will also have our PhD exit survey, and now this one. But they might do this one. The other two they don't have a choice about, but they might do this one because we have a raffle attached to it. But I don't know about others on the on the panel.
Yeah. There any other questions, comments for the preparation of student survey, Tangshan?
Yeah, I have a question about the incentive language. We did not offer any incentive for alumni survey, but we might offer incentives for student survey. Do you have any requirements for incentive languages in the cover letter or consent form? Do you have any standard language for that purpose?
From our end, we do not have the template language for the incentive award. But just as a reminder, for those of you who are receiving NSF support subaward, the NSF doesn't, well, for this subaward, they are not allowing the incentives. Wendy?
Yeah, I will, in the email series that I will be sending, I'll also send our raffle language so you can see what it is that we actually say to the students. And yeah, understand that you all can also use your own money, because that's what we're doing. to offer this raffle. We're not using the grant, so
Awesome.
think about it.
Well, thanks for your willingness to share the language.
Sure.
Are there any other comments, questions around the spring survey? Okay. Let's see. So we're almost spending all our time. So just a few updates we have from our end. Right now, so we started with the 15 subwards and included 29 institutions, and we now have 25 project affiliates and accounting in addition to those. So this is a pretty good big group, and we are very excited about all of your participation. And not sure, maybe some of you might have read, but this project was featured in a recent Chronicle Higher Education article. So there's definitely the interest about this work within the graduate education community and a broader higher ed community as well. So a lot of hard works that all of you are doing at your institutions. People are paying attention. Outside of the survey part of it, if you're subwardees, your institutions should be preparing the draft sustainability plan, which is due Wednesday, November 15th. For those of you that are doing working primarily on the surveys might not be aware of, but I believe that doing the survey administration and locating the alumni and having the resource to do those work probably the essential part of sustainability plans. So if you are not part of the conversation about drafting the sustainability plan for your campus, I highly encourage you to be part of the conversation or provide the feedback. And we'll be having the project directors meeting at the CGS annual meeting because of the space limitation. We can only accommodate one person from each institution, and many of your institutions are sending your graduate deans to the meeting. But these are your comments around and the feedback about the surveys. I'm certainly taking a notes, and I'll do my best to incorporate some of the feedbacks and the insights from you. But it's always helpful that some of the concerns and issues that you're seeing are also raised by your graduate deans at the project directors meeting as well. So any of those burning concerns that you have, please make sure to communicate that to your campus project directors and for them to share with the broader project team when we meet in Scottsdale. And for the next meeting of this group, we'll probably have late January or early February, and once we can figure out which day might work, we'll send out the save the date information. So now, we'll take any questions or comments. I got this question about the expectation for sustainability plan. So we do not have a template. Really, it's that we posed some of the guiding questions and the key points that you might want to incorporate in the email I sent earlier, and Maureen followed up. Maureen McCarthy followed up a couple of days ago. There is no page limit, but also there's no minimum number of pages either. Again, this is a first draft, and it'll be an iterative process. So even just the initial thinking about your approach to some of the key points we listed in the email would be great. If maintaining the resources for locating alumni should be the focus of the draft of sustainability plan, I'm not suggesting that should be the sole focus, but I'm encouraging you to make sure that the cost and time resources required to locate alumni or finding the contact information, or in general administering this type of data collection efforts factored and be part of the sustainability plan conversation. And I see Hans, Nasreen, you have your hand up?
I was just wondering whether it's possible to send the PowerPoint to us.
Yes, recording and the slide from this meeting will be sent out to you all. Wendy?
My hand wasn't raised, so I'm good.
Good.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments, thoughts? Okay. Well, if not, I think you all have my contact information. I know at times that my email response may be very slow, but I really thank you for your patience and waiting for my response. I also listed a phone number just in case you need to get a hold of me, and not hearing back from me for more than 2 weeks, that might warrant a good nudge via phone call, but do appreciate your patience and the continued participation in this project. And if you have any additional thoughts, yeah, if you have any additional thoughts, feel free to email me, and we'll go from there. So I think I'm under by 5 minutes, which is great. Thank you again for dialing into this meeting, and have a good rest of the day.